I am not easily shocked, but this has got me shooketh. Hello, my fam. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, journalist, podcaster, and former Vice President Kamala Harris has just released an excerpt from her new memoir, which details her very short-lived presidential run, and she goes there. But it's also truly shocking because Kamala, for the first time ever, is now talking smack about Joe Biden. And this is surprising because from my understanding, leading up to her run for president, she never even privately expressed reservations about Joe seeking a second term. Now, it's a very different story. 107 Days is the name of her new book, and in it we learn that Kamala takes not just the establishment to task, but she's also calling out Team Biden and Joe himself. She alleges that they did not trust her, that they failed to support her, that they did not acknowledge her successes as vice president, and that their thinking was zero sum. If she's shining, he's dimmed. But before we get to the backstory, let's get to the most recent story. Her 107-day run for president. For the first time, Kamala says, I should have told Joe not to run. The former VP writes, during all those months of growing panic, should I have told Joe to consider not running? Perhaps. But the American people had chosen him before in the same matchup. Maybe he was right to believe that they would do so again. Later in this excerpt from the memoir, she characterizes the administration officials as being hypnotized and reckless for failing to push Biden to drop out earlier, even as outside pressure was mounting. Quote, it's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that like a mantra, as if we'd all been hypnotized. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition. It should have been more than a personal decision. I agree. How about you? However, Kamala rejects the narrative that there was some conspiracy at the White House to hide Joe's fragility or any ailments. But she does concede that he got tired. He's 80 plus. She says firmly, here's the truth as I lived it. Joe Biden was a smart guy with long experience and deep conviction, able to discharge the duties of president. On his worst day, he was more deeply knowledgeable, more capable of exercising judgment, and far more compassionate than Donald Trump on his best. But at 81, Joe got tired. That's when his age showed in physical and verbal stumbles. And a good chunk of the excerpt that we just got focuses on Kamala and the Biden White House, specifically all the people that she did not jive with. Kamala says that the Biden staff, his administration, harbored deep-seated distrust of her. This is all really crazy because I thought they had a wonderful working relationship. But that just goes to show You can't always believe what you're fed. Can we believe this now, though? Kamala writes, because I had gone after him over busing in the 2019 primary debate, I came into the White House with what we lawyers call a rebuttable presumption. I had to prove my loyalty time and time again. When Fox News attacked me on everything from my laugh to my tone of voice to whom I dated in my 20s or claimed I was a DEI hire, the White House rarely pushed back with my actual resume. 2 terms elected DA, top cop in the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, senator representing 1 in 8 Americans. Later, she describes her frustrations with the White House communications team and their failure to adequately fight back against her bad press. Quote, they had a huge comms team. They had Karine Jean-Pierre briefing in the press room every day. But getting anything positive said about my work or any defense against untrue attacks was almost impossible. Worse, I often learned that the president's staff was adding fuel to negative narratives that sprang up around me, or narrative that took a stubborn hold that I had a chaotic office and unusually high staff turnover during my first year. The first year in any White House sees staff churn. Working for the first woman vice president, my staff had the additional challenge of confronting gendered stereotypes, a constant battle that could prove exhausting. And when the stories were unfair or inaccurate, the president's inner circle seemed fine with it. Indeed, it seemed as if they decided I should be knocked down a little bit more. Is it just me, or is anybody getting Prince Harry vibes from this? Spare 2.0. Spare me. One example that Kamala hones in on in this excerpt is the criticism over her work tackling the immigration crisis. Quote, when Republicans mischaracterized my role as border czar, no one in the White House comms team helped me to effectively push back and explain what I had really been tasked to do, nor to highlight any of the progress I had achieved. Instead, I shouldered the blame for the porous border, meaning almost open or open, an issue that had proved intractable for Democratic and Republican administrations alike. Even the breathtaking cruelty of Trump's family separation policy hadn't deterred the desperate. It was an issue that absolutely demanded bipartisan cooperation at an impossibly partisan, most uncooperative time. No one around the president advocated, give her something she can win with. Oh my God, totally Prince Harry vibes. Kamala also writes that Biden's inner circle resented her growing popularity. Quote, when polls indicated that I was getting more popular, the people around him didn't like the contrast that was emerging. As one example, she refers to a speech she gave on the humanitarian crisis in Gaza in March of last year. Quote, it was a speech that had been vetted and approved by the White House and the National Security Council. It went viral, and the West Wing was displeased. I was castigated for apparently delivering it too well. Their thinking was zero sum. If she's shining, he's dimmed. None of them grasped that if I did well, he did well. That given the concerns about his age, my visible success as his vice president was vital. It would serve as a testament to his judgment in choosing me and reassurance that if something happened, the country was in good hands. My success was important for him. His team didn't get it. And that's the last line of the excerpt that was released. If you want more, 107 Days from Kamala Harris comes out on September the 23rd. So let's talk about it all. Are the Democrats, the establishment, the White House administration, Kamala herself, partly to blame? And I frickin' agree with her. His ego, his personal ambition is what pushed him to seek a second term, I believe. I never even liked him that much. My candidate way back then was Pete Buttigieg, and my number 2 choice was Elizabeth Warren. And then I got stuck with him. And actually, I think a lot of people didn't focus on that enough. Many folks that are centrists or that identify as progressive or just so many people in the center and in the left didn't jive with Joe Biden. And now we're stuck with Donald Trump again. Lots to discuss. Let's get into everything in the comments section and check out my new merch at buypopstuff.com. Get a personalized video from me on Cameo at cameo.com. My name, P to the E to the R to the E to the Z to the H to the I to the L to the T to the O to the N. And thank you for watching until the end. You are a superstar. Hit that like button, comment, share. You know the drill. I'll see you where we chit chat. Mwah.